Take two. Take two. I got too distracted. I started covering another topic. Okay, so what is this video about? This is a video is answering why you shouldn't get Verizon Unlimited business account for bandwidth to do IRL streaming. And it seems counterintuitive, but hear me out here. It's a very important thing. You may end up spending multiple hundreds of dollars. I'm trying to protect you from that. So I'm going to tell you the story. Okay. So yesterday, if you watch the video, I got very excited, extremely excited. Everybody was making fun of me because I was so excited. And because I had discovered by reading somebody post in Discord from Rational IRL, the guy who made Bellbox, right? If you're not in the Discord and you want to do IRL streaming, you need to go join and then remember to lurk for a long time before they shout you down because they're very mean in there. Anyway, so there's one person, as usual, speaking very authoritatively, saying, "Oh yeah, why are you paying for bandwidth? Well, I get unlimited. I get truly, and I quote, I get truly unlimited bandwidth through Verizon Business." And this was I was about to go to Verizon yesterday and buy yet another consumer-facing 100 gigabytes a month. It's the most they offer from my router, and do the thing you have to do in order to get that. You have to buy a device, and you have to take the SIM card out and put in another one. It's not supported officially, but it works. It's been working for me for the last year. And I thought that was the only thing that I had. So I went in there to go buy yet another one because I ran out of bandwidth by maxing out both my 100 gigabyte accounts on the two modems. So I was like, I have another modem. Even if I have to buy a device and write it off, that's fine. I'll buy the crappy device, and I'll get the extra 100 gigabytes of bandwidth, and that'll give me 300 for a month. And that, as long as I turn my streams down to about 4 or 500, I'm sorry, to about 5,000 for most things, 6,000 for most things, and leave it at 12,000 for mountain biking and stuff, I'll be fine. There's a lot to process there. You might have to stop, then you might have to go back and like retrace what I just said there. That is the option to consumer-facing people who want to do IRL in America. Don't even think about AT&T. Don't even think about T-Mobile. They are both absolute horrible trash in most of the country. And I've wasted lots and lots of money on them. I did a video about that yesterday, but I don't want to go into detail on that. So what is wrong with Verizon Unlimited business? Well, the first thing is it's not unlimited. The person in the Discord did not know what they were talking about. I don't know who they are. I'm not going to call them out by name, but they were, as usual, full of crap. They have no idea what they're talking about. Because I went in, I called the Melvin, God bless you, Melvin, we love you. One of the most gentle souls, amazing people, the business account manager for Verizon. I got his card when I went in to go get the other thing. This, you need to talk to our business manager. And I did. I called him. I texted him. I said, hey, it's Easter and I ran out of bandwidth. I'm suffering. Please help me. And he was like, I normally don't work on the weekend, but let me help you. So he helped me, and he took out his Easter, and he spent a whole bunch of time texting me and having me scan driver's license, which turned out to be expired, and I didn't know. That's a separate story. And only a month and a half actually. So I got to fix that. Anyway, and they did send me a notification in the mail, and it's right over here. My wife reminded me. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, so Melvin's helping me out. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And I'm all excited. I'm so excited about unlimited bandwidth. Yeah, don't remind me, Jalopy. Go away. So there's like, all of this amazing bandwidth at my disposal, and I'm like, disposal, and I'm like super excited. And then I went all the way into Verizon because they said, well, you have to come in so we can scan your card. You need to bring proof of that you're a business. You got to bring your taxes and stuff. And so I found all that stuff out. But the long story short is that after I went through all the stuff with Melvin, it turns out that not having my license renewed, which I'm still laughing about, saved me because it kept me from buying. I was so excited about unlimited bandwidth, I didn't even bother to ask questions. I did ask a couple of questions, but at one moment he said, "Well, it's 300 gigabytes. I'm looking at getting you on the 300 gigabyte plan." I'm like, "Wait, wait a second. That's not unlimited. That's 300 gigabytes." And I kind of like put that in the side of my mind, and I just kept going. And I talked to him, and I went through all this stuff, and we were getting all set up, and then I got blocked by this stupid driver's license thing. Well, it's a good thing because then we're out walking in the parking lot, thinking about it. Got some time, got a burrito, and started thinking about what was going to happen if I actually did it. So this is the part, if you're tuning into the video, this is the major part of the video that's very, very important that you hear this. Okay? So, and I'm going to have to explain some of the technical things about Bellbox for you to actually truly understand that this is not what you want. All right. But the long story short of the whole thing is if I had gotten the business account, I could potentially be paying several $100s in overages. And at a minimum, I would have had to really babysit my modems and watch my usage all the time, as opposed to, as I do now, just just streaming and turning my modems on, making sure they have battery, and letting the throttling happen and letting the traffic be spread across the modems based on the Bellbox algorithm. And you can probably know where I'm going with this. So the most important thing to hear here is Verizon Business is not unlimited. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's not unlimited. And we were, ranting. All of us in the community were ranting like crazy yesterday. Why can they call it unlimited? It's not truly unlimited. It's not limited at all. In fact, it's like a fucking scam. And yes, I said the F word there. It should not be allowed. This business account is exactly the same thing that AT&T did to me when they told me it was unlimited and that it would block and it would stop working when I ran out of bandwidth, and it didn't. And I don't remember the rate. I think it was $10 per gigabyte or something. I can't even remember the rate, but I ended up paying $465 for 1 month of overage charges for about 10 gigabytes of bandwidth over for AT&T. That happened to me. And they went in and I told them the situation. I said I was sold that this was going to get throttled and all this stuff. And the person, they go, oh no, it's never been that way. You were, misrepresented. We'll take $100 off your bill, but you still have to pay like $100. And then the guy also said, why would you ever do that? You should never get that. You should get, this other deprioritized, pay as you go plan, because that'll block and stop. That's probably the one you wanted. But I know for a fact that traffic is deprioritized versus the other, and I don't want to ever be deprioritized. So AT&T, bye-bye. And so then when I find out, despite how awesome Melvin is and how great my experience with Verizon is, when I find out that the Verizon business account is exactly the same thing as the thing that I threw out from AT&T. And how do I know? Because Melvin's like, oh yeah, it'll be great for you, man. You're going to have like so much bandwidth and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but there's one thing. Here's one thing. I mean, you kind of got to be careful because, if you go over, they like really ding you. It's like $25 per gigabyte or something. And I went, what? And I don't even remember the exact number because I was immediately filled with despair because I had been so excited about this unlimited bandwidth thing. And all of a sudden he just told me that their business account unlimited bandwidth is worse than AT&T. That they're going to stick it to me if I go over. You'll be fine. You'll never use 300 gigabytes. Yeah, you want to bet? So there's another guy in there, Travis, actually. He's really nice. And I went in there and I said, I'm in here to buy a modem because I ran out of bandwidth. He's like, what? You burned up 100 gigabytes of bandwidth? Yeah, on 2 accounts. Like, what? Nobody uses that much bandwidth. I'm like, these people don't understand. They don't understand. It was a very bipolar day yesterday, absolutely. They don't get it at all. As nice as they are, and they are nice. The people of Verizon are fantastic. It's never the people, right? It's always the business. In fact, we even talked about that. You can go watch Melvin was kind enough to let me like live stream him while he was setting me up. And he's very kind, and you can go watch him. Yeah, great people, terrible policies. And so here's the kicker, okay? Well, somebody out there is going, well, you're never, okay, so even if you're going to use 300, I said, first of all, how much is it? Well, it's only $30. But for that one, you only get 10 megabits per second. That's the speed. And he was apologizing for how slow that is. And I'm like, I don't care how slow it is. This is very weird. This blows people's minds because most people who are buying internet service, they want the fastest possible speed they can get, right? And the data thing, not an issue. They're not going to ever come close to touching their data maxes because they're not me, right? They're not going to push a bunch of data at a slower speed. This is very unusual. IRL streaming does not fit into their cost, scenarios or whatever. So, so I ended up, turning it down and everything. Um, yes, give me the speed, give me the speed. Because like, yeah, it's like for 30. If you can deal with 10 megabytes, 10 megabytes per second, megabits per second. I think it's megabits actually. If you can deal with, they want 100 meg, um, yeah, a lot of people want to speed, like Tiny Pod. They don't care about that, right? And so thank you. So I decided. I said, listen. I said I don't care. And then I started doing the math on it. It was very, very tempting. It was very tempting because so right now I'm paying $60. I believe 10 of that is for the modem. That's the piece of crap Inseego modem. It's over in my drawer that will forever stay there because it sucks ass. It's horrible. That I had to buy. I had to buy it. I had to buy a modem to get the account. Verizon does not sell you the consumer-facing data plan without also selling you a device that they can charge you, double overcharge you for, because that's how they make their money, right? And if you get the business account, you can get this nice, the way they make their money over there. Obviously, they don't make any money on the devices. They'll give me a SIM card. Yeah, fine. Yeah, bring your own. Bring your own device. We're fine. Here's your SIM card. Here you go. $30 a month for 300 gigabytes at 10 megabits per second. And they're like, I'm sure, surely that's fine. But then if your business office goes over, they charge you like ridiculous amount of money. So they're counting on your business pushing it over the top, right? $30 a month though. So for the same cost, so this is why it seems very counterintuitive. And I promise you, I'm going to get to the main point. So, and I want to tell you, I'm still really tempted. 300 gigabytes a month is a lot of bandwidth. 300 gigabytes a month is probably enough for me to stream for 7 hours a day at 12,000 kilobits per second. Now, I haven't done the math. When you stream at 12,000 kilobits per second, you don't actually push 12,000 kilobits per second. You end up pushing some range in there, and that's been the thing that we've been having a hard time establishing. That's why we pushed it so heavy this time to run out, because we wanted to see what happens when we actually get throttled. And when you get throttled, okay, there's actually some important information here. When you get throttled on the plan that I'm on now, it takes you from unlimited, truly unlimited, right, down to from between 6 and 800. It varies, right? At the moment, we'll say 800. In fact, in one of their documents, it says 800, and another document, it says 600. You get an automated email. It says you only got 5 gigabits of premium content, premium streaming. You're about to be throttled. Get ready. And your unlimited is about to be limited. How do they get away with this shit? I don't understand it. So anyway, your unlimited is about to be limited. Get ready. And so now I'm like, so they throttle you down, right? So right now, just so everybody knows, I'm throttled. I have two plans, two unlimited plans that are limited to 800 kilobits per second each on LTE 4G. And you're like, well, why would you stick with 4G? You probably want 5G. It's a lot faster. We'll get there. It's actually not what you want, but there's possibility there. So the 4G limited bandwidth 800. So that gives me up to 1600. And if you watch my VOD yesterday, after turning my stream way down, just doing things that I'm not moving too much, or I'm moving relatively slowly, biking more slowly, blah, blah, blah. 720p, 30 frames a second, that's fine, right? It's not as good it's not as good of an image, but it works, right? And on Bellbox, thank God, you can go down and you can turn down your kilobits per second. Can't do that on the live view. Yeah, I had to get that dig in. Cannot do it. The live view does not allow you to set your maximum bit rate. There's so many reasons not to get a live view Solo Pro. I can't even tell you. So on the Bellbox, if I want to say, look, I would rather not have artifacts and stuff, you can say, look, I'm never, ever, ever want the algorithm to go above 1500. I can set it all the way down. I can change my encoder to 720/30, and I can survive. I can survive with that. And that's very, very low. So even throttled, I can pull a stream off, right? And I'm going to get the random newbie who's going to complain about the quality. Like yesterday, I was biking, and it was very hard for me because I actually care about the quality in my stream. And some newbie came in and said, oh, I'm so happy to see that even though I streamed at maximum resolution, that your stream looks as bad as mine. I was like, I was like, I had people who know me, know how much hassle I have gone to make my stream great. There are videos of me with a full blown army backpack with like an outdoor rigger, extended antenna that's going to give me cancer in 5 days, trying to get the best possible signal ever. So to have somebody suggest that even in a nice way, like, hey, look, your stream sucks just like mine. I mean, I was like, oh my god, I must have this end today. And the only thing that's making my stream low quality right now is the fact that I don't have the bandwidth. I've been throttled. All right, so let's get back to the money thing. So for the same price as what I'm paying right now, just on one of the accounts, we'll say I have two accounts, right? Because 2 modems. So, but let's just take one. Let's take one modem. Okay, so we have one modem. The best modem ever, M6, the Nighthawk M6, costs $900. I mean, that's how much I care about you. That's right. I love you. I want you to have the best possible quality. I really do. So having that one modem, all right, that one modem, 100 gigabytes of unlimited, that gets limited to 800 after I burn it all up, costs $60 a month, right? The unlimited business account, which turns out to be limited to 300 gigabytes, 3 times as much as the other one, but does not throttle. And I'm going to say this 10 times over again. The limited business account does not throttle your bandwidth automatically. Instead, they charge you like some ridiculous amount of money for that bandwidth that you go over. That is the most important thing I'm going to say in this entire video. Because they charge you overages and they do not throttle you, the Bellbox algorithm cannot adapt. I'm letting that sink in. Happy Easter. I'm letting that sink in for a second. Because they do not throttle your usage, as far as Bellbox is concerned, that modem and that account, which has maxed out its bandwidth, is still plenty healthy and plenty good, and it will still prioritize that device. Let me draw you a contrast about what this means. So right now, that same modem on a on a throttled system, it's not open source. Are you kidding me, Tanifa? What planet are you from? I love you. So that modem, right now is throttling. That throttling, that consumer-facing throttling, is actually a good thing for people who IRL stream. Can you figure this out? You probably already know what I'm going to say, right? The reason it's a good thing is because if I go over, I never, ever have to worry about paying overage charges. I don't ever have to worry. All I have to worry about is what happened to quality in my stream. Oh, damn, I got throttled. 9 times out of 10 every month, I probably won't even hit it. In fact, this month I had to deliberately stream more so that I could overcome the amount of bandwidth. We have never hit the cap. In streaming, this month is the first one, and we did it on purpose. We deliberately jacked up the kilobits per second because we wanted to see, in a practical sense, what would happen when both of my accounts got throttled. And we found out. And then we've been trying to adapt to that. And that is a very costly experiment that I don't recommend a lot of you do, which is why I'm making a YouTube video. Because, so I'm telling you the report here. So the throttling of the more expensive account protects me from any overages whatsoever. Now the question is that worth the extra cost? It seems pretty counterintuitive and pretty weird to say this, but it's almost worth $30 to get less bandwidth and to ensure that it's throttled. For the exact same price as the current thing that I'm paying for one modem, I can buy, instead of getting 100 gigabytes of throttled bandwidth, I could get, for the exact same price, I could get 600 gigabytes of bandwidth that will hit me with an overage charge if I ever go over it. A killer overage charge. Now, you might say, well, just use the one modem then and don't use two modems. Can't do it. Got to have two. You got to have two modems, my friends. Yesterday was a good example. One of my batteries burned out on one of my modems, which, by the way, the new M6 has got a stupid setting in it that does not register. I don't know what's wrong. It's a bug, I think. It says default battery. There's a performance mode, and then there's a default mode. And thank you for the fault. And the default mode, the performance mode burns out the battery of the M6 fully charged. Supposed to last 10 hours. Nope. It lasts maybe 3 hours. So on an average stream, I burn that battery out. And I have an extra battery that I carry that I just plug it in and I recharge it while the other modem's on, or while they're both on when it gets close to the end. Usually though, the problem is the modem's on my back. There's a lot of practical issues here that combine together to make, believe it or not, to make the more expensive throttled bandwidth plan better in the long term. And I was not expecting this. But the more I got thinking about it, so let me get into the details of how Bellbox works. So what Bellbox does is it's absolutely brilliant, right? It takes, not only does it allow you to bond together 3 modems, 2 modems, whatever, and have all of that effectively be one modem. It goes up to the cloud, it gets all rejoined, and then I'll send off to wherever, and then that gets sent off to Twitch, right? It's pretty magical, and I don't want to break down all the stuff that happens there, but there is one piece I have to explain for you to understand. And what that is when you have a modem, when the Bellbox algorithm keeps track of how much bandwidth it's able to send through each of its connections, whether it's Ethernet or WLAN or Wi-Fi or whatever, right? And they're all displayed there for you on the nice little GUI that's all got WebSockets updated. It's really cool, right? And you can kind of get a sense of it by watching it, how much bandwidth is going through each of your connections, each of your modems. And over time, if you let it run, you'll see that just by the numbers, you'll see that 1 or 2 of your modems or whatever are being favored. And so then you have to kind of figure out, well, why is the algorithm favoring that connection? We'll call it, right? Why is it favoring that connection? It's not really favoring the modem; it's favoring the connection. Because what it's looking at how, I don't know this for sure, but it seems to me that it's looking at how effective is it at sending that data? How fast is it going over something? Something about the Bellbox algorithm intelligently senses the quality of the connection, right? So, and I know this because like if and not always, sometimes it really likes one and it keeps favoring it even if another really great one comes along. And it's very hard to tell that, by the way, because once it gets used to sending stuff down one, it seems like if another better, you can actually plug in another connection live, and if it sees the other one, it'll, eventually it'll catch up and it'll send it all to that one. Oh, thank you. 300 baud modem. And so it's my trolling subscriber. Thank you. So the point is very simple. We end up with a Bellbox that thinks that the throttled connection is a bad connection. Okay. And it's like, for whatever reason, I mean, the reason is that this is why we tested it, because we wanted to see if Verizon was just lying or if they actually do. And it seems like what they do, like, it's funny because when you start up your Bellbox, it's like pumping out the bandwidth. And within like 3 minutes, within like 3 minutes, it will pull it back down. And you can see it starts looking around. So it kind of throws your averages up because it pushed some really great bandwidth for a bit there. And so it looks like you're doing like 800, 900 average when really it's been probably throttled to 6. And I think there's a couple times when I don't know, I don't have proof of this, but I think what happens is when you get to a new tower, the tower's like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, no. This is the only explanation, because when you're watching it, it's supposed to be throttled bandwidth, right? But every once in a while, I'll be pushing like 2200 kilobits through that throttled bandwidth, right? So I'm like, what's going on here? So I have a theory. That Verizon actually throttles you per tower, and it has to be redetected every time. I don't know that for sure, but that's probably why I was able to set my max bandwidth up to about 2,000. 2 times 6 is not 2,000, right? But I went ahead and set up to 2,000, and it is fine because occasionally I get higher bandwidth. Anyway, so that's so bad connection, right? Bellbox says this is a bad connection. I'm going to send the much bandwidth I can to the good one. Good being the one that's got the most bandwidth, the most kilobits per second, right? So even though my other modem is not as new and effective and whatever, it starts getting all the bandwidth because it's not throttled, right? So that one gets all the bandwidth. It's not throttled. And then you have this one that's getting the bandwidth. So you have two that are getting it. So, but because the one is throttled, Bellbox automatically says, okay, you don't get any more bandwidth. I'm going to send it over to this guy over here. Now, and so the other one, which is another reason, by the way, to stagger when you get your accounts. I know that's weird, but if you do, they count the maximum bandwidth not by month, but by 30 days. So if you, I got my two accounts within, I think probably like 7 days of each other. I've got them at different times, but it worked out that I get them. So the reason that's bad is if you, it's more likely you're going to run out of both of them at the same time, right? And that's what I have. I've actually deliberately forced that situation. I have another 6 days to test before things change, and so that's what I'm looking at, right? So how do we deal with this? Do we buy another modem? Do we keep it the way it is, or what do we do? And the answer is we keep it the way it is. So if you watch this whole video just to learn that not to get the business account, go for it. Why not? Because as I said, and I'm going to reiterate this again, I'm going to put this at the end of the video. This is the most important thing. If you get the business account, if you get your driver's license caught up, and you get your business license, you get your business account. Oh, first of all, you have to qualify for the business account, which means you have to prove you're a business. And sole proprietorship is enough. Actually, we were told I didn't even need the tax documents. Those are Melvin's exact words. Even though I stressed about bringing them in. He's like, no, that's not really the reason. The reason is you got to have a good driver's license, and that turned out to be the problem. They thought it was tax documents, but it's not. You need a valid form of ID, and they'll put you under sole proprietorship. So you don't need to worry. Anybody in America who's got a driver's license or a passport can get the business account if you want. But I'm telling you, for IRL streaming, you don't want it. And I may change my mind on this. But if I do change my mind, I have to watch the bandwidth extremely, extremely carefully. Because if I go over that 300, the question is, would I ever actually go over 300? And the only way to test that is to actually get that account and lock myself in for a year. And it is not a quit as whenever you want to thing, because it's a business account. If I remember right, I could have this wrong, but if I remember right, you have to sign up for about a year or something. Right? Because they don't have any device to sell you to make extra money. So it's not like, hey, just turn me on for a month and then turn it back off. I think they do have something like that. I don't know. And honest to God, I am considering it because seriously, I could get two accounts for $60. I still have to pay off the other personal accounts and have to pay off those modems, which is totally stupid. I have to do that anyway. I'm not even using them anymore. But because they suck. Those modems are horrible. And there is a slight possibility that they're going to detect. They haven't so far, and I talked to Melvin, and he says, no, they probably won't. By the way, don't try, as a separate video, don't try to buy a SIM card for a phone with an unlimited plan and take it out and stick it in your data modem. They will find you, and they will shut you down. No church today. That's not, we're doing a video, Desi, I'll talk to you in a bit. So that's the takeaway. The takeaway is don't do the business one unless you are really sure that you want to look at your data usage all the time. And I'm not going to be wanting to do that. I don't want to do that because it's not truly unlimited, and they really, really, really charge you. So what will end up happening is, if you're like me, you're just going to be into this streaming, and you're going to be caught up on a 9-hour stream, and they're not going to send you a warning saying you're about to go over anything. I mean, maybe they would. We don't even know. Maybe they'll send me the same, email or danger message and saying you're about to be charged overages, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they would do that. If they would do that, and it's probably something I should find out. If they would do that, then maybe I would consider it. Is it worth saving that much, that much money? I still have to have two accounts, so I'd still be paying $60. So in this case, I would save, um, if I were to switch over to the business thing, I would save $60 a month, assuming I don't go over. And I mean, that's 600 gigabytes of bandwidth a month. I really feel like I would not exceed that. I really do. I don't know though. So for the same cost, I would be paying six. I would get 600 gigabytes a month, and and um, yeah, that's it. That's really all there is to it. Um, but I'm not going to mess with anything right now. I will probably try to. I'm pretty sure you would exceed 600 gigabytes a month if you stream 7 hours a day. If you try to put the hours in that like Rob CD or one of these IRL streamers does, 8 to 10 hours a day, I'm pretty sure you would exceed 600. Even if you stuck to 6,000 kilobits per second, which I want to exceed on several occasions because it's not high enough quality. The quality is way too low for moving at any speed. This is why people who bike and do mountain biking stuff, they don't get. We know for a fact that by bumping my kilobits per second up to 12,000 while I'm on a mountain bike out in the forest, dramatically increases the quality. Dramatically increases the quality. We weren't even able to stream in the mountains before because we didn't have signal at all. And then we found Mazeppa Park and other parks and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to starting to do bike packing. There's going to be lots of leaves. There's going to be lots of trees. There's going to be lots of ground cover, and it's going to need the higher kilobits per second. So one bike packing trip in Limbo Gorge, assuming I have a signal for the whole time, I could easily push 100 gigabytes just in the 7 days. Because I mean, if I'm streaming all day, I got the batteries and stuff. If I'm streaming all day, 10, 12 hours a day, that would easily go over that. Step up to the plan to get 900. They have other plans that have even more bandwidth, and I did not look at them because I wanted to look at the overage things. So there is one last thing to talk about, and this is so important. Okay. Right now I have two modems, and one of my modems is slightly better at getting and maintaining a connection to the other one. I have right now the two active modems that I'm using. One is the Nighthawk M5, which I thought was the only one that could lock down 4G. Turns out it's not true. And one is the brand spanking new Nighthawk M6. And the M6 wins. All things being equal, the M6 wins the Bellbox algorithm all the time. Why is this significant? Because there is a very real possibility that when I move to a Verizon account where we are not throttled, that the better device will burn up all the bandwidth. I have streamed multiple times where the M5 doesn't even engage because the Bellbox algorithm is so good and that M6 modem is so good. It says, no, man, I got you. I got you covered. You don't need to send anything to this other modem. I have finished more than one stream last month where 90% of the bandwidth went through the quote good modem, the newer modem. In fact, it is such an issue, I've considered dropping $900 to replace the modem so that I have two identical devices, because the identical devices, in my estimation, would, I don't even know, it would be a very expensive experiment, but they would equally distribute the bandwidth with all things being equal. So because the device is better, Bellbox sees it as a better connection and sends all the bandwidth through that. Now, why is that a problem? That's a problem because if I buy the unthrottled bandwidth, assuming all things are the same, if I now move to a non-throttled system, what's going to happen? The better device is going to burn up all of its bandwidth first. The other device isn't even going to engage. And then it's going to keep on going because the Bellbox algorithm doesn't detect any problems with the connection. So even though I'm paying for two different 300 gigabyte accounts, one of the accounts is never getting used. And the one with a good modem is getting used more. And I could potentially end up paying overages if I'm not careful because one of the modems is better than the other one. And the other modem wouldn't even have used all its bandwidth. You see this? This is not the kind of consideration that the Verizon business team is thinking about. They're not thinking about this. The very act of teaming modems is like completely foreign to them, right? So if you are considering this business thing, minimally, you should ensure that your devices, so you have to have two. To do IRL streaming, you need at least two. And I'll cite LiveView Pro. They have a 2 modem and they have a 4 modem package, right? And you want that to be equal, quite frankly. But you can get away with 2 pretty much anywhere in the U.S. You need the 2. You need 2. And if you get 2 devices, make sure they are the same exact device. If they are not the same device, then you risk having one pick up more of the bandwidth than the other one. And quite frankly, make sure that they're positioned well on your back and that they're equally distributed, because if one of them ends up getting a better signal because it's not in your backpack differently than the other one, maybe it's not hidden behind the fan or whatever, that one's going to get all the bandwidth, and then you're going to end up never even touching the bandwidth of your other modem. These are considerations that no one even thinks about starting up. When you're starting up a streaming system and you're trying to do all this stuff, they don't even think about these things, and I'm here to help you by hitting all these mistakes for you. So everybody look at your driver's license, make sure it hasn't expired. Right now, go look. Make sure your driver's license hasn't expired. But once again, my driver's license having expired actually probably saved me from locking myself into what would have been a disaster, because I'm quite certain that my enthusiasm and excitement, as you can see in the video I made yesterday, would easily have outpaced my caution, and I would have ended up streaming for 15 hours a day for a Linville Gorge trip, and I would have easily burned up all my stuff and ended up paying like a $600 overage charge without even using the bandwidth from the other one. So what have I decided to do? Should I check? I would definitely check. If you got the business account, if you still want to save money and you still want to do the Verizon business account, let me just say this, and you can actually stream on one modem if it's not like all day every day and that kind of thing. I still think you need the redundancy, but if you decide to do that, just be really careful and watch your bandwidth, and please just be warned, and please let me know. As of this current moment, I am not planning on for all the reasons I've cited. I am not planning on getting a business account. I'm gonna keep what I have, and I'm gonna change my streaming behavior and my streaming kilobits per second accordingly. And so, in 3 to 5 more days, I'll be back up to my normal amount. And as I said before, I've never exceeded my bandwidth for the month. I've never done it. So this month was kind of a test. And then I personally am going to be adjusting my bandwidth usage with the idea of being able to stream from 4 to 7 hours a day still outside IRL. But, and I'm going to be pulling back my kilobits per second to 6,000, 5,000 or 6,000 for most streams. Like when I'm walking around town, 1080p 30, that doesn't even touch 6,000 kilobits per second. So you don't need that. I don't know how much we need to get into the algorithm here, but by turning down the number of frames per second, just halving. If you go from 60 to 30, you automatically you just reduce the amount of bandwidth you need in half. So, and the image is the same as long as you're not moving fast. The only reason you even need, in fact, DJI doesn't even do 60 frames a second. I'm doing 60 frames a second right now. This is 60 frames a second webcam mode on the Pocket 3, which only the Pocket 3 does. Action 4 doesn't do it. Yet another reason to get a Pocket 3. Only the Pocket 3 will do webcam in 1080p 60, period. Action 4 does not. It does 30. And the Bellbox, I keep being told that the Bellbox only streams 1080p 30. So I don't know what to make of that. I actually don't believe it. I haven't been able to prove it, but I think that the Pocket 3 actually does 1080p 60, and it actually does go through. But you should never stream 1080p 60 unless you are in the mountains with a ton of refresh needed. So you got the screen is like messing around. A lot of people would actually say you should stream in 24 whatever, because 24 frames a second, because that's the cinematic effect that people are used to seeing when they go to the movies. Movies are filmed in 24 frames a second because you want the blur, and the motion and all that stuff. So, but it's pretty widely agreed upon that 1080p 60, if you can do it, which you can do with the Sony. The Sony HDMI will do 1080p 60 in the Bellbox. You can do that. And so a lot of those, high motion streams will do it. Although I got to tell you, I spent a decent amount of time today and yesterday looking at 1080p 60 versus 1080p 30 streams of people cycling, and usually the modem connection or something about that is enough to screw it up. So you lose the quality anyway. And it's almost, I mean, I would challenge most people to even see if you can see that. To get a good 1080p 60, lots of things updating kind of stream, you'd actually have to stream at higher than 6,000 kilobits per second from Twitch. And Twitch doesn't support anything officially above 6,000. And just to show you, so here I am streaming my bitrate. You see the warning I'm getting right now? And it says I've got an unstable stream because I'm streaming at 8,000, because the people on Discord said, oh, you should try to stream at 8,000. And all these YouTubers are like, hey, you want to increase the quality of your stream? Stream at 8,000. No, don't do that. Don't do that. So first of all, if you stream over 8,000 for more long, we don't know if it's 8 or 8,500, they'll send you a nasty letter, and then they'll start to they'll send an error when you try to go to your website. So actually, this is a separate video. I'm going to do another video right here. So stay tuned to go watch that video. I'm going to end this video now. Don't do business Verizon unless you are hyper vigilant. The throttling is not that bad. If you're going to do Verizon, unfortunately, you're going to have to buy the cheapest device, and then you have to buy the Nighthawk anyway. So sorry, if you're going to do it, look, if you're going to do IRL streaming, just save your money up to buy the Nighthawk. It's not worth anything else. I swear to God, don't buy anything else in America anyway. And if you get the Nighthawk modem, you can run that. Don't get the locked one from AT&T. Get an actual one, and get that best modem. And then you can run that modem. If you get the Pro, you can take it outside the country. If you don't, you're stuck in America or North America, which I am. I don't mind doing that right now. I worry about when I move to Spain, possibly, which is one of the reasons I'm looking at all this stuff. Anyway, and Europe has actual unlimited plans all over the place, unlike America. So God bless America, where unlimited means limited, and everybody lies about everything for the sake of capitalism. Yay, capitalism. So if you're going to get business plan, be vigilant. Get those modems, get 2 modems, and suffer through, pay, you're going to have to throttle your band, your stuff. If anybody actually successfully finds a truly unlimited plan in the United States of America, so far, I do not know of one. I have not found a truly unlimited data plan anywhere. And I've looked at all of the other plans and different things, and there's no such thing in America. There's no such thing. There's LiveU, but you have to have their hardware, and you have to sign into their system and everything. And I've considered that. The only reason I'm not doing LiveU, I did a whole video on it, is they don't even have a USB. You can't connect a DJI camera to a LiveU. The end. Not without some intermediate hardware. Not happening. Not doing it. All right. So that's the end of this video.